How you doing today? This is Scott Kidd, the Yacht Captain Investor Podcast. I have a friend of mine, Matthew Elmer of Magntk Systems. Been a friend for a while and is a guru in marketing. How you doing today, Matthew?
Oh, I'm doing great, man.
For people that don't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
I'm currently CEO of Magntk Systems, and that's spelled funny, Magntk. We're all about helping people attract clients and the growth in their business that they're looking for. So that's where the magnetic came from. But where that all started from was I've been an entrepreneur since my second son was born. He's 18 now. And so I've been in the space of real estate, flipping properties early on, ended up having people ask me how I was doing that. So I built an education company that I was able to take to Inc. 5000. Had some things go really well there that I learned a lot about being a CEO, about building systems, but we struggled with that early lead generation to first engagement. And so what happened was our business fell apart, and I got really passionate about how do you solve that problem. We'd spent $1 million on Facebook ads, and yet we were still failing. And so I got really passionate about that, got invited to work with a podcast. We took their podcast from 25,000 downloads to 125 and got their business launched, doing hundreds of thousands of dollars in product sales. And I started really just digging more and more into marketing, look for better systems, better models for automation and communication, and had an MMA gym that was a buddy of mine owned, and he brought me in, and we took him from $2,000 to $15,000 a month. And anyways, I started to go, well, maybe I'm not a complete idiot after that business fell apart. Right? Maybe we've got something that's figured out here. And then obviously I got some new clients. In fact, one of those clients was you, and we were able to start building systems for other people and help them to build online processes and online follow-up. We dug in heavy with AI and really figured out some amazing things that can be done with the support of AI now, with even the ability to give people some great resources on that. So that's the quick version of my story. It's a story of some really fun successes and some pretty hard failures, and a guy who just is too stupid to give up.
I say similar thing is that I'm too stubborn to quit. So we have that in common. I know what your system has done for me as far as like connecting and attracting investors, other real estate professionals. Tell us a little bit about your process and your company and where it's at and where it's going in the near future.
Well, the company is excited. I mean, it's really an exciting stage. Bootstrapping any business is really interesting. And I raised capital for our last company, and that was exciting, but it comes with some additional pressures. And so we've made a really deliberate decision to bootstrap this company. And so if anybody's ever done that, that can be a lot of fun, because you're balancing the three elements of business, which is the systems of the business and building those systems, the marketing and sales of the business, and then the actual delivery for the clients. And so there's a lot of SOPs that need to be built. There's a lot of processes that need to be built. And so really this business got kicked off probably about a little over a year and a half ago. I had to study the software that we're using so I could really understand how to maximize its efficiency, how to really leverage all the different angles. I was very familiar with another software, Kajabi, and that was great, but it just had a ton of handicaps. So this one gave me the ability to do everything I wanted and really maximize all the skills and understanding I had, whether it was building a website or a funnel or even courses and communities. We had the ability to do all those things in one place without having to connect a bunch of APIs to different systems. And so that was fascinating to me, but it also was a lot to learn, but we did it. And now that we've got that figured out, we figured out how to leverage that. We're quickly able to step into somebody's business. And we have one side of our business that you were involved in that is we work completely with people raising capital, and we build the systems for them so they have a nice, credible website. We have a really great lead magnet that's going to cause someone to leave their information. Your list is your money. If you don't have a list, it's really, really hard to have money, whether it's clients or investors. So you need some way to capture that information. And once you have them captured, then you need to nurture them. You need to make sure that they're gaining trust with. And so you need to do that in two ways. One, by ongoing communication, but also by webinar. You need a way to let them know about what you do. And then especially if you're a syndicator, then you might have a property that's available. Big problem syndicators have is they get someone on their list, they get a card from someone they net, and don't talk to them for 6 months, and all of a sudden they got a deal and they're trying to pound on, hey, I got to tell you. And people are like, hey, I'm just another dollar to you. And that doesn't work. And so who you want to be is someone who's been there all along. And then when you do show up with a real solid offer, they're like, oh, well, you've been consistent in my life, so I can respect you and trust you're going to be consistent with my money. That really helps to heighten the conversion possibility for someone who's raising capital. But the same thing's true of every other businesses. If you have a business and you're not communicating with people, and then all of a sudden you throw a bunch of offers at them, there's a subconscious no already going on. There's resistance that you're already facing that you don't have to face if you have a solid system to help you take care of that.
And I've found, especially with your system, that just keeping in contact with people, like the follow-up is the key to all of it. Is it keeps them warm and keeps them realize that you're thinking about them and you're thinking about what's going on with them. With the advent of AI, how has that really accelerated that process?
Yeah, so there's probably three ways that AI has most accelerated that. The first is in the capacity for us as a marketing team. I used to have to write copy for people, and I had to write every bit of it because I needed it to match their tone. And so I would do these exercises where I'd actually sort of think about how they would say things, and I would think about how they worded things, their pacing, and I would kind of step into them. I'd actually do a visualization, I'd step into them, and then I'd start typing as them. And so I could sound like that. And AI today has the ability to match tone, to match style, to sort of rhythm, as well as sort of overall cadence and energy and stuff. Before, I would have had to charge a ton of money to write 24 emails for somebody. Whereas now we can create a very affordable model. I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's much more affordable because the pace at which we can go through things, and we still review them, and there are still usually tweaks to every single email we ever write, but the speed at which I can get everything done is much faster. Therefore, we don't have to charge as much. And so you can still get a really quality deal. If you just go and plug stuff into ChatGPT, you're not going to get a great quality. There is filtering that needs to happen. There is sort of feedback that needs to happen to sort of cater that. So we use a more advanced AI than just plugging something that you said into ChatGPT and asking it to spit out some emails. But when you do that, when you actually bring in a lot of these other elements, you can create way more content much more quickly. So that's probably the first thing, whether it's our team doing it for you or you doing it for yourself. The capacity that AI gives us to create more content is incredible. In fact, I've noticed, Scott, you've been putting out a lot of content yourself. I know a lot of that is personal, but I'm sure AI has also been a part of that to a certain degree.
Yeah, it's been some, and then also a really great assistant as well that's really great at helping create a lot of that. I've noticed like the cadence and everything else. AI seems, and ChatGPT and stuff seems to kind of copy that, and eventually it figures out what your cadence and stuff is. And it seems to me that with AI, it's kind of made it less labor intensive, but you still have to do the Q&A. It's the volume of creation has gone up, but it seems to me that why I was just talking to you briefly before this about doing social media for other people, kind of developing their personal brand, because it keeps hitting me that things that make us unique are really what is our niche. There's riches and niches, and our niches are the things that are little differences, the things that make us quirky, or things that help our personal brand, because that is who we are. Because with so much AI out there, there's like, it seems to be more of a resonance with people in general, of people being very genuine.
Yeah, and that's really the challenge. Is this is another problem. Even if you go write a bunch of emails in the way emails used to be written, there's also the other issue that people put on their sort of businessy tone. They get this tone that is very disconnecting. It's not personable at all. If I could give you an example of this, is like, thank you for calling our company. We are not available right now. We will be back with you shortly. It's like, that sounds so ridiculous. Let's say someone calls your company and you miss their call. That's money you miss potentially. Yeah. So we create an automated response to that, which is not necessarily AI, but it's automation, which is another big function that the technologies of today and the abilities to bring automation into things. But what we try to do is create that personability in the communications. So rather than, thank you for reaching out to so-and-so business, it's, hey, this is Matthew. I saw that you reached out. Super appreciate that you did. We missed you. Let's get on the phone call really quick here. This is the best place to schedule me. Can't wait to talk. That feels much more like a human talking to them. Still gets the job done. And so that's the second thing that I think is really critical, is the conversational AI functions that are coming down the line. And we're building bots now where you can communicate with someone, whether it's voice. So right now we have inbound bots where someone can call a company, and in fact, I could leave a demonstration for your audience, or they can call. I'll leave a GIF for your audience, and then if they get the GIF, I'll make sure they have an invitation, because if everybody calls this that's just curious, that would be maybe overload the system. But if you're serious about something, I'm going to give you a really good gift at the end of this, and then what I'll do is I'll send you the phone number, and you can call this phone number, and basically it's a bot that's talking to you like a human. And so what it does, it says, what business are you in? What do you offer? And what's your name? I'm going to act like your AI employee now. And then it says, so you be a customer calling in, and then you now act like a customer talking to my bot, and it will interact with you just as if it was hired by you and we set it up for you. It knew all the right questions to ask right there without even being trained. Now, the reality is it does need to be trained. You do need to have these things set up in a way, but it blows my mind how quickly these AI functions are allowing us as business owners to focus our people on more valuable activities. Some people are afraid of AI, and rightfully so. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot that's going to happen and jobs are going to disappear, but there's going to be an opportunity for people to spend their time on more valuable activities. Then as long as you're willing to step into learning more things, AI is going to open up the ability, I think, for you to do that and not have to do such mundane and annoying things there. So that's really the second one, is the communication around AI and the function of integrating that into your automations.
I think that there's people are always afraid of change, and things are always changing. We forget that every time one of these innovations has happened, just the internet or telephone or electricity, it brought all these new things that we're not aware of right now, but people will have to be open to changing things. And that's the hard part, just because they're afraid of maybe they'll lose their job, but if they retrain, they might have a way better opportunity. What opportunities do you see that they could be coming from some of this AI and marketing and business?
So the next major revolution is agentic AI. And I was just on a training today today, where you're now taking the world of automations and the power of AI and you're bringing them together to solve much more robust problems. Like right now, if I go to ChatGPT, I can ask it a question, I can have a conversation, and I can end up with a report or a document or some sort of resource, which is great. But when I got to do that same thing over and over and over, I don't want to have the same conversation over with ChatGPT. And so this is where agentic AI, that's this sort of a baseline agentic AI function, where now we're going to have these systems where AIs are working with AIs to create solutions. And so we're trying to stay at the forefront of that and recognize where in your marketing world is it possible that we could bring more effective systems and processes to you through these agentic services. And so we probably see in 2026, a big part of our business will be definitely in the agentic space and providing agentic solutions along with that. Obviously, the government may put some regulations on that, but at least there's inbound bots that are now available right now. There's just a lot of different functions that are going to be coming. I'm excited about AI, and I think really what everybody ought to be doing is getting an AI employee to do something in their business. And so that's my big deal, is find a way to use AI consistently in your business to shortcut processes and or make processes more effective and efficient across the board.
I remember when I used to do websites about 30 years ago, and then did some programming, and then like when compilers came out and they did all these high level functions, everyone was like, oh, now you don't have to program anymore. But it ended up making like more programming and more process. Now you're going to have eventually talking to bots solving problems. For me, the future is pretty bright, and obviously for you as well.
Well, I feel like it's encouraging us to the highest degree and capacity that we have as humans. I think it's forcing us to get to a space of critical thinking. The business owners that have a skill that has not necessarily been as important before, but even more important now is the ability to systemize and really get to the heart of SOP structuring and learning how do you really build that sort of Henry Ford assembly line. So someone who can build assembly lines of sequential order are going to be the people who win. And then the people that have the inventiveness and ability to identify the challenges in the world and the suffering that's out there in the world. And so people that are solving problems and then systemizing can then just plug in bots to do the system. And if it can be done on a computer, pretty soon a bot's going to be able to do it, because they're going to be able to basically click on any button in your computer and go to anywhere on your screen on any website. And so there's not really going to be any job that's being done behind a screen right now is going to be at risk in the next 3 to 5 years. But the people that are the inventors, that are the idea recognizers of problems and can construct a solution and then assembly line it, those are the people that I think are going to absolutely win.
I think I would 100% agree with you that we're always going to need people that can solve problems. I think where we are now, it's just augmenting what we're doing, as all this tech has always done, because we're the ones that built it to solve our problem. And then as we go forward, it's going to solve problems that we haven't even thought of, and also problems that we'll probably create if used properly, like you said. I guess the build out of everything, the infrastructure and the power we're actually going to need for all these things is going to be an enormous undertaking, which AI, I would like to think, is probably going to have a big part of too, because they were saying the grid needs to be upgraded by like 50% of the capacity in the next 5 to 10 years.
I think the world of health is going to advance at a speed that we've never seen before. We're going to know much more clearly what is going on with our health issues. I think there's going to be so much truth in the world of health that comes out that's going to allow us to live longer, but more importantly, live more healthy lives. You know, and once again, when I look at so many people that hate their job, they hate what they're doing at the end of the day, it's usually because they're dealing with mundane, unimportant, and non-meaningful things. And those are great things to have AI do. Now, whether they'll kill us or not is a question. Here's the question. If they really are as smart, if they truly become absolutely smart, that means they have great perspective. If AI really has super intelligence and they have deep perspective, would they value destruction? Because it seems to me that intelligent people don't value destruction. They do value security and the capacity to stay alive. So I think, interestingly enough, our fear of them destroying us may be the very thing that causes them to destroy us. Who is walking around destroying things as humans? To me, it's people that lack perspective. They lack abundance. They have this unintelligence about them. And so their ego gets involved and then they become destructive. So the question is, and the interesting thing in my mind is, as AI becomes more powerful, will their perspective offset their destructive energy if there's no ego in AI?
But I was thinking about this the other day, getting back to the deep sea, how it's a lot cheaper. And I kept thinking back when NASA built the pen that was like $3 million. It could write upside down, and then the Russians use a pencil in space. So I'm thinking maybe this is a similar thing. Like maybe our version of AI has all these things in it that we really might not need. This is just kind of a slimmed down version of calculator compared to a PC. The cool thing I thought was that they let it out as open source so that anybody can take it. Yeah. That's interesting that if AI would become smart enough to get out of its own way or stop something, or, oh, this is obsolete, so we don't need it anymore, we need to eradicate this.
So my point is, don't fear AI, if for nothing else, so they don't destroy us. Yeah, it's a fascinating world we live in, And what it really is a tremendous time of opportunity for people to build and connect with their audiences. They really believe that they have a tremendous value to give with their products, their services, with their investment opportunities. If they really believe what they're doing, there's no better time to be able to grow and grow quickly. My encouragement for people would be, if you have a business and you want to go create freedom for yourself in that business, if you look at it, so many people will go out and buy a franchise. Maybe some of your audience is thought about buying a franchise and investing in a franchise, and that might cost them $1 million. They get loans for and stuff like that. And some franchises are a little cheaper, but quite a few of them are pretty expensive. Like a McDonald's, it's going to cost you several $1 million to get a McDonald's, and to end up having to occasionally manage that place on a weekend night. That's why most franchise owners, I think, own more than 1 or 2 franchises. It takes multiple to actually create the freedom potential there. But in the same note, though, why not invest some money in your marketing and automations in your business, right? Sometimes you got to invest in your future for the growth. And the reality is, an investment in your marketing, your automations, and your AI is an investment that has the greatest potential to impact your growth. Making your product better is awesome, and you should invest in that. You ought to make it a great product. Making sure your finances are in line and spending money on that stuff, that's great too. But there's no better place to put effort and energy into your business if you want it to grow than into your marketing. I encourage everybody to take a percentage of your revenue, commit to investing in your marketing on a percentage of that in your marketing and automation, and then begin to study and understand AI and how it can make that happen even faster, because your dollars are going a lot further today than they ever have before.
They really are. I think it was Gary Vee is saying that the biggest commodity these days is attention, and you can only get attention through marketing. And without proper marketing, you really don't have a business. You're not going to get that attention that your business needs to grow or even to survive.
Well, and I think that's another really great point about the time that we're in, is the other types of business, the other core element that I think will survive in the next generation is influence. And people that have massive, authentic human influence over people are going to continue to make a lot of money, because the power of that influence, once again, can be at a greater velocity extended out to the world through AI, but we're still looking for people. And so the longer you've invested, the more seeds you've planted now, before all of that becomes easier for everybody else, the more likely that influences can create additional wealth and additional impact, and more importantly, additional contribution and fulfillment for you, because you've done the work to build an audience of people that see you as valuable. So I think it's a great thing to do, to invest in your social media growth. I know we've got a big push this year that we're doing on that. We've been doing it for our clients, but now we're doing it for ourselves now too.
I think the influence of the genuine human connection, I think it will always be golden if you mix that with problem solving. If you're adding value and you're genuinely connecting with people. Well, this has been really great, and I always enjoy conversations with you as well. We talk about some very, very interesting topics and everything. And just so people know how to get a hold of you, let us know the best way to get a hold of you if they want to find out more about what you're working on and marketing and your areas of expertise.
Yeah, so we love working with like small to medium. So if you're a startup, we might have a solution for you, but really what we work with a lot of outfits that are at that place, they're ready for some big growth, hoping for $500,000, $1 million in growth in the next year. I put together a gift for all of your audience. It's 7 ways AI can boost or will boost efficiency and sales for your business. And so if you go to magnetic.com/gift, and you can go there, you can download it. It's a great little report. It'll give you some ideas we talked about more in detail, but also some new ideas that we didn't talk about today of how an AI employee could make a difference in your life. And then if from there you want to have a conversation or you want to see the demo, I'll send you the phone number that you can call in and hear our AI to end up what it would sound like if you had an AI employee on the phones for you. We'll see if we can maybe get on the phone ourselves, have a conversation. I love talking to people about their businesses. We can't serve everybody, but we love to talk about your businesses and see where the gaps are and see where some really cool automations, whether you need a website or lead magnet, you need some funnels or an AI employee. We got some really great tools that we can implement to really maximize your efficiency and turn more of those leads into clients. That's our goal.
I really appreciate your time and everything. And like I said, that it's always great having you. Really, this conversation went through a lot of really great things.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the opportunity, Scott, and we'll look forward to talking again sometime. Thanks, man.
That's the Yacht Captain Investor podcast. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.